bring home a win for you and your project. Visit actionelectrical.net.
What's it like to score a winning deal at Car West Leduc? Like raising the cup in your hometown on your birthday. Feel it now at Car West Leduc. Experience a vast, uncompromising selection of top-quality used vehicles with no extra fees. Trucks, sedans, vans, SUVs, and more. Backed by family-run service and top dealer ratings on Google. So when the final siren goes, you go home with a deal you'll never forget. Car West Leduc, 6514 Sparrow Drive, Leduc, or at carwestautosales.com.
Hey, it's Jamie from Green Drop Lawn Care, exploring Edmonton from the Science Center to Horlock Park. I see your lawns and cringe a little. Weeds are here. And you've got them, Edmonton. Take your lawn back with our guaranteed lawn care programs and unlimited weed control.
Green Drop has been Canada's lawn expert since 1979. And they're in your community, keeping your yard looking beautiful with affordable lawn care packages that include fertilizer, weed control, drought fighter, and more. Visit greendrop.com.
It was all a dream. I used to read.
Here's the Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Elks have a win in week one and a superstar who may win MOP. It's only week one. Plus, NHL and NBA finals are classics, and the Oilers better get a wiggle on because coaching process is going on in Toronto. It looks like Los Angeles is getting close to naming their head coach. The Lowdown with Lowetide brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick on Sports 1440 and YouTube. Wolf GMC Buick, family-owned, community-driven. We're making it easy. Visit wolfgmcbuick.com. Our headliner of the day, Jason Krueger. We have declinations coming up at 1:40 today. We're live on Sports 1440, iHeartRadio, and Radio Player Canada. After the show, Apple and Spotify podcast, and we tweeted out on X. We are on Twitter, or X, at Declan Krueger, JFenwick04 as well. And you can text us anytime, 833-401-1440. That's 833-401-1440. We're going to be talking about the Elks and their big win on the weekend. We're going to be talking about the Stanley Cup final. What a pair of games that we witnessed. The Oilers, well, there's not a lot happening, but there's a lot of rumors, including Darnell Nurse possibly being asked to waive his no trade. And the Edmonton Oilers apparently a little bit slow on the uptake in terms of naming the coach, and we do know they're waiting for Cassidy, but maybe they're getting a little impatient too. Those stories and more, along with the NBA finals, and I want to talk about the Jays catcher situation as well. They got a guy. They got a real guy. But first, we do the introductions. He's at an age where most of the big decisions will come in, say, the next 2 or 3 years. I will tell you, I trust that he'll make the right decisions. The first big one, never watching Obsession again. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Josh Fenwick. Josh Fenwick, everybody.
Yeah, about half an hour into the movie, I decided that I would never watch it again. One of the big decisions in any person's life is, should I reapply sunscreen?
Mm-hmm.
I did not do that this weekend.
Oh, dear.
So I have I think you can see it on my face.
Can you take the hat off?
No, well, I don't have any. It's pretty white up here.
What a great hair you got going there. Once you got it cut, it all sort of came together for you.
So I have a burn on my face, but the real killer is my arms right now. The top half of my arms is killing me. So yeah. Your first mistake, Tide, believing I can make the right decision, because I evidently did not.
Have you seen the movie or the TV show Money Heist?
I have not. No.
Okay, it's really good. We'll talk about that maybe a little bit later.
Sure.
I have a question for you. I'm going to ask our cohort in a minute. But have we tweeted out the YouTube and the promo of the show? Because I can't seem to find it, and I don't think I was included on the link.
Declan certainly shook his head. You were included on the link. It's right here, reposted by Sports 1440.
When did it hit?
17 minutes ago.
And
so
11:47. Too long ago. That's what happened.
I nodded my head because shook is no.
Oh, sorry. That's what I meant. Was nodded.
Yeah.
His head went up and down.
So something wrong with my Twitter then, because I have the Kevin Carius show, but I don't have. Can you resend it to me and I'll retweet that?
I'll send it to you.
Okay,
now.
sounds good. All right. We moped around and spent his whole vacation missing him, but we decided not to tell him. So don't say anything. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Declan Krueger. Declan Krueger, everybody.
Yeah, I was really, really tired when I got back on Friday. And it's funny, my girl, I mentioned to you guys during the break, I was like, that was one of the worst segments I've ever had. Overall, probably one of the worst shows I've ever had. You guys were very polite. And you said no, even though I think it was the truth. Then I was talking to my girl on Saturday and she was like, yeah, I listened. And I was like, yeah, it was bad. And she was like, yeah, it was. So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm tired this morning as well. Thought I was over the jet lag. Probably will be, but lots to talk about in the world of sports. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, there is lots to talk about. Let's get right to it, and let's start with the Edmonton Elks. We talked all last week on this show and on Gregor's show and every show about how important it was to get off to a great start. And Justin Rankin had a game. He rushed for 102 yards, and he caught the ball. I think it was almost like 90 something yards. And the goal is like 1,000 for both. And I think he's going to get there. And I think we talked last week about maybe him being MOP. It was a team effort. I get it. I understand. I was on the Carius show. And Eddie was talking about the offensive line, and yes, give them their flowers for sure. But Declan, let's start with you. 29-21. It's not like they went in there and scored 50, but got to feel pretty good about the Edmonton Elks, even with the inability to punch that in and getting field goals instead.
Yeah, there's a lot of positives to take away from that one. Like the biggest one for me, and you touched on it, Justin Rankin is probably better than advertised. And I've quite bluntly, if you've been listening to Elks Nation, been campaigning for him to be in MOP conversations all offseason. Like there's never been a 1,000 yard guy in the CFL so far. Granted, it's been one game against, I think, probably the worst team in the league in Ottawa, but he is well on pace to do that. His ability, obviously the big plays, he had those 2 60-yard plays, one in the passing game, one in the receiving game. That's incredible. But his ability to turn a 1 yard loss into a 5-6 yard gain, that is really where you find his offensive value. Because those 60-yard touchdowns are nice. You probably can't hang your hat on that being your offense every game. You had to a little bit last year and you finished 7-11. But turning those 1 yard losses into 2nd and 4s, 2nd and 5s, letting Cody throw his crossers, his hitches, his 5 and ins, his 5 and outs. Like that's the real bread and butter of the offense. And that's where Justin has so much value for this team.
Yeah, it's exciting to watch because, we've, as a city and certainly CFL fans, I love the CFL, but watching the Elks every year get off to not just a slow start, but really debilitating the season in the first half, like not getting a win until it's over, has been like mind-numbing. So getting a first win, I think people are going to be really more engaged this week and leading up to it's not like tomorrow or anything, but the home opener is coming up, and I think people are going to get excited.
Yeah, and what's funny, you mentioned the start here. So with that win in week 1, they have equaled their win total from the first 7 weeks of the last 3 years or something like that, where they were 1-20. They're now 1-0. So things are certainly looking up. It does suck a little bit with the bye week. I think there's that break is going to be a little tough. You'd like to keep the momentum rolling into week 2. Montreal will be here again. Not exactly a rivalry game or anything. Very good team. But yeah, I think the fans should absolutely be invested in the Elks.
Beautiful. I still don't know why I got it, but I went over to Sports 1440 and I'm now.
Well, I also DM'd it to you. But yeah, go to 1440.
I got it now.
All my hard work wasted.
All I need is to get it on there so I can do it. So I got it now. It's okay.
We figured it out.
We wanted to get that done. So Elks are looking good. I'm very excited for it because I think that there's a lot of fans out there. They've been angry about a lot of things. Winning will take care of it. And I still think people like to go to the ball yard. It's a beautiful place to watch. The sun beating down you. You have a couple of wobbly pops. It's a great feeling, especially when you feel like your team has a chance to win. And guess what? They won game 1. They're building momentum. Go out and support them. All right. Stanley Cup final. I'll tell you, it looked to me as though this Stanley Cup final is going to be a classic. And I'll tell you why. Everything that you want to see in terms of fundamental hockey, great forechecking, really, really fantastic passing. I feel like I'm just repeating what Howie Meeker said 50 years ago when I was a kid. But these two teams are excellent. They're highly talented. They're very physical. They contest everything. Now, I didn't like the overtime goal that put Vegas up 2-1 in the series. It was a soft goal. That's fine. That happens. That's part of sports. I watched Ken Dryden let in soft goals in Stanley Cup finals. It happens. It happens to everybody. But I feel like this series, we were talking about it with Carius today when I was on, I feel like this series has a chance to be a classic that will make us remember some of the all-time best. Now, I think 2024 was a great final. Oilers didn't win, but I enjoyed it. This one, in terms of fundamentals, in terms of like not necessarily, end-to-end rushes that end up in gorgeous, beautiful goals, but hard work and great effort. Man, I am loving this series. What do you guys think?
It's unreal, unbelievable. So I was in a ball tournament this weekend. I swear the story goes somewhere.
Is this about your
no,
tan again?
No. We finished our last game at like 8:00, and so we get off the diamond. And I look at my phone, and it's 3-0 Vegas. Mitch Marner has 2 goals. And we're like, oh, this one's over. Before we get in our Ubers heading back to one of our teammates' houses, the 4-0 Mitch Marner hat trick, fastest natural hat trick in NHL Stanley Cup playoff history. We're like, okay, that's it. Like it's over. We get back to this guy's house. We're sitting on the deck, enjoying the sun, drinking a couple wobbly pops, and I look at my phone. I feel the buzz. Elliot Friedman, 4-3, Carolina. I'm like, whoa, hold on a second here. Begin mad dash to the garage to turn on the game. And we finally get it on, fix all the Wi-Fi problems, whatever. Just in time for like 6 minutes left in the game. We see the tying goal. We're like, oh my God, I can't believe this. And then obviously we go into overtime. Nothing happens. I go home just in time to turn on my TV to see the double overtime goal. I'm like, I can't believe this is the way it ends. You score on yourself.
Pretty wild.
What needs to happen in this series, Sebastian Aho, you need to be better. 0 shots on goal in a double overtime game in the finals.
We always have to remember these are small sample sizes. Aho's not playing great, but he helped get them there.
He did help get them there.
They need, sometimes a great player needs somebody else on the team to pick them up.
And it's a small sample size, but it's also as important as it gets. Like that has to factor in too.
Well, except that sometimes people get to the final and they don't have, the puck's not going in. Things happen, right? Even a 7-game series is a small sample size. Like I'm not going to bury Aho if he doesn't, come out of this slump, because we know slumps exist. He needs to score, but he knows that. This is a deep enough team. I don't think the Carolina Hurricanes or Vegas Golden Knights have to rely on one guy, right?
No, but puck's not going to go in if you're not putting the puck on the net. Like 0 shots is pathetic.
Needs to get there for sure, but they have guys.
Yeah, they got Jarvis and they have Stankoven and they have all these multitude of got Taylor Hall, all these guys. But at the end of the day, like when you really think about who's the guy on Carolina, it's Sebastian Aho.
I don't think you can reasonably say the Hurricanes are going to lose this series because of Aho.
No, I'm not going to say that at all. But
it seems to me that we always point out a guy. This guy, he helped them.
They have a way better chance of winning if he plays better.
Absolutely. And the Oilers had a way better chance of winning if McDavid had scored in game 6 and 7.
Yep.
But do we blame him for the loss?
No, probably not.
All right. So it's a factor. There's no doubt about it. And I do think, who would you go back to in goal if you're Carolina?
Bussy. I would go back to Bussy.
You see, I agree with you, but a lot of people are saying no.
Yeah, but Anderson also took a big hit to the head.
No.
But the goal that ends the game goes off his skate from his own player.
Yeah.
He really, for a guy that did not play the entirety of the game, comes into the third cold. He stood on his head.
I thought he made some huge saves. He wouldn't have gotten there, man.
He made some huge saves. Like Vegas was not making it easy on Brandon Bussy or the Carolina defense. And he showed that he was that guy. He was the reason there. He was the starter all season for a reason, right?
12-14, Lowdown with Lowetide. It's Alan Mitchell. It's Declan Krueger, Josh Fenwick. I got to get to this because it's so important. We've talked about it. I want to say that when we were talking in March, or February about who was going to come out of the East, the NBA. The Knicks were mentioned. And then slowly but surely, if this show had like a word bubble, the Knicks have been slowly but surely building. And we got to the point where last week you said, listen, I'm not picking the Knicks to win, but if they win, I'm not surprised. Now we're heading towards game 3.
Mhm.
How do we feel about the New York Knicks? I'm not saying they're going to win. In fact, I don't even know whether you would change your pick now. But we have to admit that this has been an unusual series. And for the Knicks, they're showing some people.
The Knicks are showing a lot of people. And for me, right hand up, I said Spurs in 7. I think that was my official prediction on the Carrier Show right before the series started. I'm going to stick with that, even if it is a bad pick, which it's looking like right now. But I will stand next to my bad take and say I'm taking the Spurs in 7. I can see a world where they
but
do
7 means you thought they were going to be good.
Yeah. And so, but the Knicks are shocking the hell out of me. And it's not even Jalen Brunson. Like, he has not really been particularly great. In game 2, he misses a big, wide open 3 to put the Knicks up. And then he goes to the line after a egregious Wemby turnover. Either take the ball up yourself or pass it back. Don't pass it to Steph Castle's back.
They're a better team without Steph Castle on the floor.
They are. He's a minus. I think has the lowest plus minus on the team. He's minus 18.
When they benched him because of that foul trouble and went on that 14-0 run in 8 minutes, like that's no coincidence.
No, absolutely not. It's also a huge testament to Dylan Harper and his play in this finals. He has been absolutely unreal. But Jalen Brunson also missed one of his 2 free throw, his last free throw, to give the Spurs a chance to win the game. And then for whatever reason, the play call was Wemby midi shot. But the Knicks are shocking me. Karl Anthony Towns, in particular, to me is the guy that I'm absolutely blown away with. He is not only the best player on the Knicks this series, he's the best player on the court, time in and time out.
It's just a blast to watch. And how many celebrities will we see tonight? Like, it's pretty wild in New York. And they're changing. Like, I follow some people in New York just because they're baseball people, and they're changing traffic routes. You can't go certain areas. I think it's going to be like a absolute bedlam in New York tonight, especially if they win, but maybe especially if they lose. I don't know.
Well, Trump's going to the game as well, so that's going to factor in. Just back to the actual teams, like a big thing San Antonio has is they haven't used Wemby efficiently. Like they're not getting him near enough touches in the low post the way they need to.
Think about that 14-0 run.
Yeah. And dude, like, because Russillo was running through he was running through the numbers this morning on like the touches he was getting. And like, if you take away some of those like inbounds where he gives it right back, or like his transition offense touches are very low. His half court touches in an offensive spot where he should be are very low. Like they're not using him the way they need to be using him. And now like the other side of the coin is he's probably not doing as much as he needs to be doing. But it's just so crazy because like as good as the Knicks are, and they obviously are a very good team, you would think that the deficiencies they have play so well into San Antonio's strengths that there's no way that New York can make that up. And then they go and they win 2 on the road and now have home court advantage, have won 15 in a row in the playoffs, and the Spurs have to go 4-1 against that team. I don't know what the regular season record was. Maybe it was 1-1, but it's a tough mountain to climb.
So what are the odds? And I'm not trying to do a gotcha here because we've had a long conversation about the Knicks, and I think we are surprised by them, but we also give them full credit. What are the odds that it's Cinderella midnight tonight for the Knicks and they end up losing 4 in a row?
Low. I think it's low. I think they're going to win this. I think they're going to be NBA champions. And by the way, I got another take about that before you answer, Josh. We're going to have to start putting Jalen Brunson in Zeke Thomas conversation.
Oh, did you talk to Paul Sir on the weekend about Brunson?
We did not manage to bring that up because Paul was not in studio with me. He was, in fact, at home due to some other stuff for himself. So I was alone in the studio. Not worth getting into the Brunson debate. Yeah. But we did talk about the series as a whole, whatever. My main issue, this goes directly to Declan's point about the Spurs' use of Wemby, is
he's
that
7'4" and can do everything, bro. Throw him a lob.
Mitch Johnson needs to be better.
Yeah.
He is getting like Mike Brown is coaching circles around him. I still don't think the Knicks are going to sweep. If the Spurs won tonight, I would not be surprised because this is an absolute must-win game.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to win. You have to win this one because then you are absolutely defeated going into game
Yeah,
4.
because dude, no, obviously only one team's ever come back from 3-1. Legoat James, not a big deal, hanging in the rafters. But so obviously no teams come back from 3-0. I think it's over already, but if they lose, then it's like it's super over.
It's super over. One last stat, and then I'm sorry, then you can host the show.
Right.
My apologies. The last
Who is this guy, Lowetide?
I'm sorry.
I'm telling you.
Get him out of here.
This
It was even worse when you were
fun
gone.
fact that includes New York per Optastats from the weekend. The last team to win a championship after losing the first 2 games at home was the 1996 New York Yankees.
Oh, there
that
you
started their run of 4 championships in 5 years. They lost the first 2 at home. Then they proceeded to win the World Series. And then they won 4 championships in 5 years.
So someone out there will credit Derek Jeter, as they do for everything. All right. Coming up, we've got a very busy show. Jason Gregor at 120. Declinations at 140. What we're doing at MMA?
We are. The UFC White House card is this weekend.
Okay.
So we're going to preview that.
Looking forward to that. That was a sound he made.
That was the sound Josh made.
That was Josh.
And we're also going to talk about next on Rumors, among other things, NHL coaching changes. They're getting close. Jay Woodcroft might be in L.A. Man, with that hair, he'll be a star. Plus, there's a catcher in Toronto that you need to know about. Lowdown with Lowetide, brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
Here's the Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
It's 12:24. This is the Lowdown on Sports 1440, brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Check them out, wolfgmcbuick.com. A beautiful day. Hope you had a great weekend. Lots going on in the world of sports, and we're going to get right to it. It is time for Rumors, brought to you by Harley-Davidson of Edmonton. Check them out at Harley-Davidson on the Yellowhead Trail, and also hdedmonton.com. Okay, Connor McDavid won number 5 Ted Lindsay Award. This is an award voted by the players themselves. And for him to win it 5 times is unusual. In fact, Wayne Gretzky's the only one who's ever won it 5 times previously. A great award for a great, great player. And I tweeted it out on the weekend. I just think that one of the things that gets missed a little bit is how long he has been shock and awe for fans, whether they're Edmonton Oilers fans or just hockey fans in general. He shocks the eye. He delights the brain. Connor McDavid is well into his career. And people always talk about, hey, he hasn't won a Stanley Cup. That's a team effort, and the team hasn't been good enough. Well, I don't think anybody can argue that Connor McDavid isn't the greatest player of his generation. And we'll see at the end of his career what everybody says. I probably won't be around on the radio at that time. Having said that, I will have an opinion. And I think he might be, I'm not saying he is, but he might be the best player of all time. I think this 5th Ted Lindsay Award sort of gives a little bit of weight to that idea because he's in the realm now of the all-time greats. Thoughts?
Yeah, listen, he's certainly the best player in the world. I've actually said this, Lowetide, and people sometimes I think don't always agree with what I'm saying, and I just think it's kind of a miscommunication of words. Gretzky is obviously the greatest player to ever play the game. Right? Like no one's disputing
I
that.
don't think that right now, I don't think anybody could dispute that.
I don't even I don't think what someone playing right now could do in their career could surpass. You know what I'm saying?
I would not agree with that.
Fair enough. Fair. But but he's the greatest. But my point is, I think Connor McDavid is the best player to ever play the game of hockey, just like the way I think 50 years from now, the way sports science and medicine and training and technology evolve, someone will pass them. It's like, yeah, Bob Cousy was great at his game, was great at basketball at that point, but then 50 years later, Kyrie Irving, who's like a borderline top 75 player, he's better because the game evolves. So I think Connor McDavid is the best player to ever play the game of hockey, even though he's not the greatest like Gretzky is. That said, the Ted Lindsay, it's the most outstanding player, is voted on by the NHLPA. It is not the most valuable player, as is decided by the PHWA. And he was fully deserving of the most outstanding player award. No question about it. Macklin was right there as well. If he doesn't win the Hart, I think it's a really healthy conversation between 3 guys, between him, Kucherov, and McKinnon. I have no problem if it goes to any of those 3. But it's another trophy in the cabinet of the guy who is obviously the best player of his generation, obviously the best player in the world. He's missing the big ones, but his talent is undeniable.
Yeah, his team is missing the big ones. Josh, any thoughts?
Yeah, he's the best player on the planet. Like, it's pretty clear. You watch him. Like, I think I bring this up quite a bit. Texting Declan one night, I think it was Colorado versus the Oilers. And we had the conversation earlier that week. He was like, well, I think he had said Nathan McKinnon was the greatest player in the world. And I was like, no, there's a difference. Like, when you watch,
I don't think I ever said that.
I think it was a whole conversation we had on air or the best player in the league or whatever. But I do remember this conversation vividly for as many beers down.
We need to write these things down.
As many beers deep as I was. And the Avalanche and the Oilers were playing. And it was like, when you watch Nathan McKinnon, you're like, man, that is a great hockey player. And same with Nikita Kucherov or like Cole Caulfield or whatever. You're like, that is a great player right there. When you watch Connor McDavid play the game of hockey, you're like, that is different. It's the same way you watch Victor Wembanyama or in the past LeBron James or Michael Jordan. You're like, that is different than like Clyde Drexler or Kobe Bryant or whatever.
And there's a soccer player out of Argentina. We could say the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah. Messi and Ronaldo, you're like, those are different guys. Mbappe is great. Messi's different.
I'm sorry.
I wanted to push back on something, but are we moving on?
No, you go ahead.
Well, by the way, breaking news, Peter Laviolette, he will be the next head coach of the Los Angeles Kings.
There you go.
Per Bleacher Report Open Ice. But
You say the show gets no news.
there you go. What
Well,
you had
not
said
usually.
was his team is missing the big one. And
Yeah.
obviously, fair, teams win championships. But the pushback I have on that, and I brought it up on the show before, when it's all said and done, no one's going to talk about Zach Hyman not having the cup. No one's
Right.
going to talk about Darnell Nurse not like it's going to come down to one name. You know what I
Sure.
mean? So that's
bet.
why I phrase it the way I did.
Absolutely.
Well,
but,
two.
but
Leon
here-
Draisaitl's still on the
But
team.
as good as Leon is,
There's-
I love Leon. I don't think Leon's in like Connor's team. I think Connor's a top 5 player ever.
So
Leon's
here's the
just
thing.
not there.
here's the thing. The fact is he will win a Stanley Cup. But here's why it's a concern. Eventually, Connor McDavid will be decided, I'm tired of not winning in Edmonton. And he will do what Dylan Larkin has just done, where he's requested a trade. Larkin wants to go to 3 teams, according to Helene Elliott, who's a brilliant reporter.
The show.
I'm sorry, Helene St. James from the Detroit Free Press, a brilliant reporter. He wants to go, according to the reports, to Florida Panthers, Minnesota Wild, or Vegas Golden Knights. And you gentlemen are well steeped in NBA knowledge. But I would submit to you, and I noticed Elliot Friedman saying today that Larkins won't be the last trade request to happen, and we can look around the league and see who might be the next. I think we're seeing something like what the NBA has been doing for some time, where the players crown the king in the summertime. And they all go to, 3 or 4 different teams. I'm heading to South Beach, whatever it may be. And that's a concern if you're the Edmonton Oilers, because you need to be a destination place. And because of what has occurred in the last 15 years, not being able to win with McDavid and Draisaitl, I don't think this is a destination place like Vegas, who may win their second Stanley Cup in short order, like Florida, who won, 2 in a row, or Tampa Bay, or the Minnesota Wild, who are clearly a great team, and any fool can see it just by looking at their depth chart. So let's go around the table and talk about the idea that the NHL is NBAing itself, or at least players are, and we're going to see some super teams, and there's a possibility none of them are in Canada.
Lots to unpack. I listen, it's a little tougher in hockey because within the salary cap era, if you do have 3 superstars, even if you're giving your 4th line and your 3rd pair 8 minutes, they still need to be on the ice. If you have 3 all-time or 3 Hall of Fame level basketball players, they can play 42 minutes a night. So it's a little bit tougher to do in hockey, even if that is the direction we're headed.
Right. So you'd say that the impact of an impact player in the NBA is higher.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
So then when we apply that to an NHL player, the same rule, then we have to, I think, be aware of the fact that it's more of a team game, and you have to have team depth like we're seeing in Vegas and Carolina.
The last point you touched on, though, is that we may not see it in Canada. Conventional wisdom kind of suggests you're right, but I almost think it's if this is the direction we're heading, it seems like it's so in its infant stages that it's going to be a franchise by franchise basis, and it's just tough to qualify if that's going to be.
We're
the
already
case.
seeing things like the tax situation in Florida. This to me is a big, Larkin and then whoever's next. To make a list of the RFAs who are coming up on a big contract or UFAs, and a couple of years from now, McDavid would definitely be a candidate. I think you are seeing the idea that there's going to be some super teams, and you sure as hell better be one of them, because if you're not, then you're going to have to rebuild like San Jose.
Doesn't Edmonton already have an organically built super team, though?
But they're not. They don't have the capital to assets to trade for these guys. Let's say Larkin said, "I want to go to Edmonton." That's one of the 4 teams. Oilers don't have anything close to what will be offered by the other teams.
No,
Minnesota can offer a lot more.
But I'm saying, organically, they have the best player in the world, best player of his generation. They have another top 4 player in the world, Hart Trophy winner, and they have a Norris caliber defenseman,
which works great if you're signing unrestricted free agents. But these are trades for guys who want to have some influence about where they go, and they are going to require assets to acquire, of which the Oilers have none.
Yeah, but it's if you're trying to make a trade, what trade targets could you possibly put a better big 3 together than what you already have? You know what I mean?
Sure, but let's take Dylan Larkin. Do you think that the Edmonton Oilers, let's say Larkin would come here, do you think the Oilers can put together a better package than Minnesota?
Not without drastically hurting their team.
Not with what they'd be willing to part with.
And so like a team like Minnesota, or let's say the Montreal Canadiens. Like if the Montreal Canadiens, let's say today, who would be the most valuable player on the market who might request a trade today for Montreal? They need centers, right?
From Montreal or to Montreal?
To Montreal. They need centers.
Man, that's a tough one. I find it so hard for us to have this conversation because of what Declan pointed out. The NBA is sort of a different beast in this scenario.
Let's say Connor McDavid requests a trade today.
I don't think he would request a trade.
No, but let's just say I'm not saying he's going to, but let's say, sure. And he says one of the teams is the Montreal Canadiens, and one of the teams is the Toronto Maple Leafs. Who has a better chance to get him?
Well, obviously the Leafs, or not the Leafs. Oh my God, the Habs.
Yeah, because they have
clearly the Habs.
More talent.
They have more talent, more assets.
So
more young assets.
When we're talking about Edmonton being a place that these cats want to go, these aren't unrestricted free agents. These are guys that like the team wants to be compensated for losing Larkin. Others don't have the bullets.
Not a lot of people do.
That's the other thing. Like, it is a finite list of teams that could put this together.
He's only given 3 names, guys. He's not going anywhere else. If I were Yzerman, I'd sit his ass.
Fair play. But it's also like, how many teams, because that's what happens when you have all these no move, no trade clauses. How many teams also could put together a realistic package for Dylan Larkin? That, like, it is a finite list.
Sure.
The Habs being one of them, honestly.
But if you're Detroit, you'd rather trade him to the Habs.
Really? You'd rather trade him in conference?
Yeah, like,
are you kidding? I want the most back I can get in Montreal. Well, maybe Minnesota could give me more.
Yeah, because I'm saying, like, if you can get comparable packages, even if it's one's like,
it would be out of the conference for sure.
Yeah,
but I just want players. I don't even know if I'm ownership in Detroit. I don't know if I want Yzerman making that trade.
I mean, he hasn't really given you a lot of confidence to believe that he can. I mean, Christ, there's a reason that Dylan Larkin is requesting a trade.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, again, like, first of all, I don't think Connor McDavid would not request a trade.
No, I was just using that as
just in general. You brought it up at the beginning. Like, well, Connor McDavid might. That's what the 2-year contract is for.
No, I'm not saying. I wasn't saying he might ask for that. Sorry. I'm saying let's say he did.
Let's say okay. Yeah. Sorry, I must have missed that part specifically. But I just, because of what Declan brought up, it is team oriented, and then the other thing is, like, it's just not hockey culture
yet, but it is becoming that now. This is what I'm telling you.
Slightly,
this is the
though.
tip of the iceberg.
Slightly.
Dylan Larkin today. What if Zach Werenski wants a trade tomorrow?
Ooh.
Dylan Larkin also, like,
American
Dylan Larkin
problem.
is a great player.
What if Zach Werenski wants a trade tomorrow?
That's okay, but
now we're
but
talking, guys. It's the shifting sands of the NHL, and you better be prepared for it if you're an NHL general manager, and you are going to crown kings in the summertime via trades, and you have to be careful if you're one of the teams that isn't one of the contenders for these names.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but, like, the Werenski thing is a big if, because maybe he will, but he hasn't. And Dylan
I understand
Larkin,
that, but remember Marner last year? The trade was so futile for Toronto, they might as well not have made it.
Well, because that was very much the same thing of the Matthew Tkachuk thing, right? Oh my God, the Matthew Tkachuk thing. I know, fumble on my part. He didn't say.
What did you do?
I just messed up the stream for a second.
Oh, okay.
I'm requesting a trade. He said, if Johnny Gaudreau leaves, I will not be re-signing with you guys. That wasn't him requesting a trade. It was him giving them advance. Same thing that Mitch Marner did, essentially, but without saying to the Maple Leafs, I'm not re-signing here. He just alluded to it.
I want to mark this spot. We agree. I don't agree with you, but I'm putting words in your mouth. Make sure you're going to accept them.
Sure.
Dylan Larkin will be the last trade request like this over this summer, and it won't be a big deal where guys under contract are asking to get out and move to specific teams, as Larkin did.
He's the only trade request over the summer.
That's what I'm saying. You're saying.
Yes, I believe that.
Oh, I say no to that for sure.
All right. So we've got something to talk about, right? As we move on. If there's any other one, I can say to you, hey, remember that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely you can.
Okay. All right.
Right hand up.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, Lowetide.
All right. By the way, I want to get to this really quickly, and I know we're late, and I apologize. But the Toronto Blue Jays have an interesting problem. They've got Alejandro Kirk coming back, right? Pretty soon. This kid, Brandon Valenzuela, Is that how you say his name?
Valenzuela, yeah.
All right. He is like racking up the hits. He's hitting home runs, 3 in the last, I don't know.
4 games.
Yeah. Nuts, right? So my question is, boys, like, I'm not saying they're trading Kirk, but
No.
you're going to have to play this guy.
Yep.
And Kirk will play as well, but maybe you keep this kid's bat in as DH and he catches 2 or 3 games a week.
It is a real question of what is going to happen here, because the real question is, how is Alejandro Kirk's defense with his thumb? Because it was his catching hand, correct?
Mm-hmm.
That this thumb injury was on.
Which means it might be all year that he's dealing with it.
It might be all year that he has problems. Like, he might be the one DHing, and they say, hey, Valenzuela, like, you're going to be our main catcher. Kirky, you're going to be the one catching 2-3 times a week, whatever. But Valenzuela's the guy. It took him 4 games to tie Vladdy's season of home runs.
Right. Alejandro Kirk has to play because those of us with 33-inch inseams cheer like hell for him when he's on the base.
Hey, I'm right there with you. But yeah, I don't know how you can take Valenzuela out, especially because of the other good thing about him is that he's a switch hitter.
No, there's so much.
And he's able to homer off both sides.
It's nuts. All right. On the way, your comments. We've run through 2 segments, haven't talked about you and talked about what you want to talk about. And we will do that next. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440 and YouTube. Brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick.
With Play Alberta, backing the home team goes beyond the bets. That's because your picks have provincial impact. Play Alberta is the only app in the province that puts all revenue directly back into supporting programs and services that Albertans rely on every day. By investing in the General Revenue Fund, every play, bet, and buy made on Play Alberta helps make a difference across the province. Visit playalberta.ca/Gregor to learn more. That's playalberta.ca/Gregor. Must be 18 plus to play. If you gamble, use your game sense.
The Riverhawks are back. This week brings a Theater Kid Takeover, a cottage-themed Pride Night, and Sunday's summertime Santa toy drive for Santa's Anonymous. Don't miss the party at the ballpark. Get tickets at gohawks.ca.
Our new McCafe crafted sodas just drinks or something more. Like Sprite Berry Bliss, Creamy Strawberry Coke, and Orange Dream. All swirled with fizzy flavor and topped with silky cold foam. Only at McDonald's. At participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
Mr. Rooter buries evidence in the desert.
I didn't mean to do it. I was forced into it. Yeah, forced. But now, no one will ever know. You've done well, Mr. Rooter. You did something awful, but you've covered your tracks. It's done. The last transcript that shows I did a semester of nutrition school.
Uncover evidence of the proudest plumber, Mr. Rooter.
Got a car you're ready to part with? Find out what it's worth, fast, easy, and totally free at Go Auto. We're talking top dollar trade-ins, whether it's a little worn or still rocking that new car smell. Just a few clicks, and boom, you've got your value. Text VALUE to 780-777-7777 to start. That's VALUE to 780 all sevens. Why guess what it's worth? Let Go Auto show you the money.
Cattail Crossing Golf and Winter Club. Fun and friendly with morning rates Monday to Thursday. Just $65 for 18 holes with cart. $55 for seniors. Includes a $5 food voucher for dining at Cattail's Out of Bounds restaurant. There's early bird golf Saturday and Sunday. $50 for 9 holes with cart and snack voucher. 9 and dine Fridays after 4. $130 per pair for 9 holes cart and a $40 Out of Bounds gift card. Plus, Glow Golf every second Friday and bring your dog golfing on Mondays. Visit cattailcrossing.ca.
From the local rinks to homes and businesses across the province, Alberta's rural natural gas utilities are here to fuel life affordably, reliably, and safely. We're members of the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops, providing natural gas to keep our rural neighborhoods warm and connected every day. It's local, dependable, and it's ours. To learn more about the Federation of Alberta Gas Co-ops and our members, and how natural gas fuels your community, visit fedgas.com. Alberta's energy. Game on.
The puck is passed up through the neutral zone, and here's a breakaway. He's coming in hot. He shoots it. Oh no, a broken stick.
When it comes to performance, quality parts matter. Napa Auto Parts has all the reliable parts, tools, and more to keep your vehicle running like a playoff contender. With over 85 locations in Alberta, visit your local Napa store today or shop online at napacanada.com. That's Napa know-how.
You need the lowdown? It's with Lowetide right now on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
This is the Lowdown on Sports 1440. Brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. Check them out, wolfgmcbuick.com. It is 1246. Once again, Lowetide's running of the hourly clock is dizzying in its brilliance. He lied. We were having a great conversation before we took a break about, Dylan Larkin requesting a trade and then reportedly naming 3 teams. That seems a little shy, but it does point out the possibility of teams like Vegas, Florida, maybe Tampa Bay, Minnesota Wild, who are also mentioned in this article, becoming super teams out of the NBA. And you had a point in the break, and I want you to make it now in regard to Dylan Larkin, and then maybe we can extrapolate on that, Declan.
Yeah, my whole thing was like, you talk about this forming of super teams and all that. And what I wanted to say about Dylan Larkin was, as much as I like Dylan Larkin as a player, and I do think he's a very good player, consistent 30 goal scorer, which is tough to do. He's not like, is he a top 25 player in the NHL? I don't think he is. I think he's a very good player, probably the second best player on that Red Wings team outside of Mo Seider. But he's a guy who's been there for 11 years and has stuck it out through dirt and mud and garbage, and now wants a change of scenery, which I think is fine. So my thing is like, if this had been, Nathan McKinnon saying, hey, it didn't work out in Colorado this year, send me to Vegas. Or if it had been Connor McDavid, which is obviously a very homegrown example, saying, I want out. That's a little bit different than a guy who's a good player, but not an upper echelon S tier player saying, I want to go join Sasha Barkov, or I want to go join Kirill Kaprizov and Quinn Hughes.
So my point is this, I agree with you, all of that, but I'm saying that this is the tip of the iceberg. I'm predicting that there's going to be more of this. And I think it may come this summer. Elliot Freeman's talking about that right now on Twitter and wherever else he is out in the ether of sports broadcasting. So this is something that we are in real time investing time in. Now, that doesn't mean that Larkin is the guy. But I think if we make a list of the top 25 players and one of those asks out this summer, then we have the NBAing of the NHL. And it's really hard to say it. I got to come up with a different way to say it. But.
No, it's rolling off the tongue. And like, I don't even disagree with your take, because I think you're absolutely right. And it could be a bit of a trend towards that way. But I think it just needs to be more than one top 25 player. And it needs to be more than one top 25 player requesting a trade. It needs to be something like I want to go. And now Dylan Larkin did this, to be fair, but it needs to be that, or those top 25 players saying, I want to join Quinn Hughes and Kirill Kaprizov. I want to join Sasha Barkov and Matt Tkachuk.
The tip of the iceberg,
Connor and Leon.
The tip of the iceberg never looks like the actual iceberg, right? And that's what I'm saying, I'm saying that this is like, let's review what Dylan Larkin is. He's the face of the franchise. He's a cornerstone. Now, look, they haven't been great during his time here, but he's also not the Nick Libet Red Wings either. He's respected. He's loved by the fan base. This is at least a somewhat of a hit for the organization, because fans will be saying, see, this is what happens when you can't contend. And God knows that this team hasn't improved a lot. I mean, we don't have Donovan here to rip on the Detroit Red Wings defense, but we will tomorrow, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So like, this is, I'm not saying that this is now established. I'm saying this is the beginning of a road, and it's difficult. It's difficult because if a player wants out and they're a player like Dylan Larkin, it's very difficult to refuse. He's given 3 names. That puts Yzerman, and I'm no Yzerplan fan, but having said that, that does put him in a difficult situation. I don't know how these other teams are going to react if they're not in that window to be fabulous. So if you're San Jose, maybe in the next 5 years, you're in a great spot for this. Or if you're Montreal, you're in a great spot right now. If you're the Edmonton Oilers, man, you're not in a great spot because you don't have the assets to trade.
Traditionally, I would agree with you that the tip of the iceberg doesn't normally look like the whole iceberg or whatever. However, we do have an iceberg for reference. The NBA, we've brought it up multiple times.
Right.
We have Melo, who decided to leave Denver and went to New York, chased the bright lights, the bag. That's what he wanted. Then, of course, LeBron and the decision,
right?
Forming of the Heatles, those three 110% colluded and said, hey, we're going to Miami. They almost all ended up going to Chicago to join Derrick Rose, but then there was some money problems, whatever.
Which would have been cool.
But that's how it started. There wasn't really huge trade requests or anything like that. There was just, I'm leaving the team that drafted me to go and chase success with a better franchise, with better players.
Isn't that what Larkin's doing?
I.e. the Heatles. No, because he requested a trade.
And then gave them 3 names.
He can't
walk out because he's got a contract.
Durant walked out. The first guy, Deck, who'd you say the first guy in the NBA to really request a trade? James Harden. That's the point of he was 6th man of the year. Get me out of here.
Maybe like Kevin Garnett when he was trying to get out of Minnesota, but that was also Minnesota was like, we want to do right by you, so it's a little bit different. James Harden's a good one.
My point is that you may buy it and you may not buy it, but the future will tell us whether or not I'm right. If we don't hear another one of these stories for 2 years, then Lowetide's wrong again.
This is per Sportsnet. Breaking news. It's the Oilers are discussing the hiring of Mike Babcock with the NHLPA.
That's interesting.
So I have a Dregs tweet here to kind of piggyback off of what Josh said. The Edmonton Oilers, I'm just reading exactly what Dreger tweeted, but Josh obviously broke it down pretty much the same. The Edmonton Oilers are consulting with the NHLPA to see if there are objections that must be resolved before potentially hiring Mike Babcock. Amid allegations of invading players' privacy, Babcock resigned in Columbus as the head coach in 23. A further investigation may be required.
That's fascinating because that would require, if there's a further investigation, that might not be doable in the, what we consider to be comfortable period. And just so we're clear, based on what you've said, they're not hiring him. They're just looking into the idea.
They are discussing with the NHLPA. I don't know what step that would be.
I wonder if they are they allowed to talk to him because he resigned, so he wouldn't belong.
Didn't he also just sign a contract with an AHL team or something?
You're thinking of the Saskatchewan Huskies, brother.
Oh, my bad.
But they're a hell of a team. Come on now.
My apologies. My apologies. Ron Babcock.
Well, it's not a common name.
No, the OHL team just hired his son, though.
That's what it is.
There you
go.
It
must have been son of Mike Babcock.
Anyway, that's fun, right?
It's something. How many times have we said on this station total?
Now, here I did an article for The Athletic, and I made a list, and I didn't have Babcock on it, but I think I mentioned him. But here's the thing. The reason I didn't go involved in it was twofold. Number one, because of what we had just talked about why he had resigned and those issues. And then number two, Mike Babcock is like, we're talking about, we were talking about Cassidy as being a, very disciplined guy, wanted structure, was very, very focused on doing things the right way. Cassidy is your grandma compared to Babcock in terms of what he wants from a team. I'd be very interested in hearing what, the players think of Mike Babcock as an option.
Maybe that's why they're talking to the NHLPA.
Can I float a take to you guys?
Sure.
McDavid and Babs don't mesh. McDavid.
Very possible. Very possible. Because that's now you're saying.
Second trade request of the summer.
But now you're saying, okay, if you're the Oilers, you're saying we need and I get it. I understand because they do need somebody to get structure into this team. But you've gone from, a guy who is a coaching structure to, maybe using a slide rule and suggesting to a guy who wants you to be boxed here or boxed here. Babcock is complete structure and very disciplined. And it's public knowledge, and the reason that he resigned in Columbus, he is an unusual coach and he does unusual things. And this isn't exactly a PR, dream to hire Mike Babcock based on reports. Now, they haven't hired him yet, but they are doing their due diligence. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a PR nightmare if the Oilers hire him. Are you kidding me?
Well, it might be more than a PR nightmare if the players aren't, but I can't imagine they would do it without some knowledge from at least the leadership.
There has to be some say from Connor and Leon of listen, you guys can do you, but our thought on this is we are not Babcock guys.
Do you think Mike Babcock and Connor McDavid can agree on what the final score in wins would be? Because it's not going to be 5-4. It's going to be closer to 2-1.
For Connor McDavid specifically, I don't think he cares. A win is a win, I think, in that guy's mind.
And they need a goalie right now.
Breaking news, Fork found in kitchen.
Going to have to steal. Calgary is like 3 hours down the road. Just drive down and steal one.
Tide,
just steal a guy.
This horse is so dead. It's like decomposed.
Why don't you just donate a damn goalie to the Oilers? Just one time.
What's Deck? You're the football guy here. What's the term they use for a loan? Players are loaned out to other clubs.
That's exactly what happens. So a player will be under contract. Do you want me to explain the whole?
Yes, please.
Yeah. So a player will essentially be under contract with one team. So for example, like we would have pick one of our fourth liners. We would have Trent Frederick here, and we're like, we want him to go get some first line minutes. It's not going to happen in this organization, so we will loan him out to the Vancouver Canucks, and he can go play first minutes there, and we will split his salary, and we can recall him whenever we see fit.
So you're telling me that you want the Calgary Flames to loan the Edmonton Oilers Devin Cooley?
They'll pay full price.
The Oilers will pay full price.
Whatever it is.
I think that's just called a trade.
Yeah, I don't know why they won't do it. Look, Conroy every spring donates a great defenseman to Vegas. Surely to God he can send a goalie.
I wouldn't exactly say this Rasmus Anderson deal was a donation. I think he got when you look at the return he got for Rasmus Anderson and Rasmus Anderson's play, particularly in game 2, where I believe he was the primary defender on all 3 goals.
All right. But, Stan Bowman could send, if you send Cooley, Stan Bowman could send Max Jones and some other great players.
Max Jones plays in Europe now. Good try.
Well, he only signed there. He could sign in.
I guess you're right. Yeah, but I don't think the Flames needed a guy like Max Jones.
No, they don't. I'm just...
Tell you what, give us Nuge.
No, you can't have Nuge. Nuge is like Nuge is going to be mayor here when he's done playing, man. All right, on the way in hour number 2, Jason Gregor will join us. Obviously, we're going to talk about this Mike Babcock information. I won't call it, well, it is news, but there's a lot around it. Deck will have more, and we'll talk about that with Jason. And we have Duncan with Declan talking Mama MMA at 1:40 as well. What an hour. My goodness, did we have news on this show. Oh, my God. Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440, brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick. It's time for an update with Declan Krueger.
The Sports 1440 update.
Brought to you by Elks Nation for the best Elks coverage year-round with podcasts and articles. Go to elksnation.ca, player interviews, game analysis, and more. The best green and gold coverage online, elksnation.ca. News come down from Darren Dreger. The Edmonton Oilers are consulting with the NHLPA to see if there are objections that must be resolved before potentially hiring Mike Babcock. Further investigation may be required, and the LA Kings have hired Peter Laviolette as their next coach. NHL action will resume tomorrow in Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Vegas taking that series 2-1 with a chance to go 3-1 on home ice in a 6 p.m. puck drop. Like I said, that one tomorrow night, Tuesday, June 9th. In the NBA tonight, we will see San Antonio and New York at 6:30. Game 3 of their final series with New York leading 2-0. MLB action today gets going at 4:35 with the Mariners and Orioles. At 4:40, we'll see the Red Sox and the Rays. The Toronto Blue Jays will be in action with a 5:07 first pitch against Philadelphia. Corbin on the mound, and you can, of course, hear that one on Sports 1440 AM dial only. I'm Declan Krueger. This is the Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440, Stingray radio station. CKJR broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
It doesn't start on game day. It starts before kickoff, before the first snap. It starts with you locking in your season seat.
By the way, Darian Newell, disappointing to see him get injured in training camp for the Elks on that defensive line at a Queen University. Now missed what looks like the first 2 seasons of his time in the league is Justin Rankin making every single sense of excitement possible squeezed into this Edmonton offense. Touchdown, Justin Rankin. 61 yards to the end zone. By the way, Darian
goes up and takes the football away. That's a great explosive play.
Gain of 39. Now Fajardo is hunting for a touchdown to Austin Mack. Extending for the end zone. Makes the grab, and the pair of Fajardo and Mack back on the same page and back in the end zone in green and gold.
Goes up and takes the football away. That's a great.
With Carlson in behind the net. Howden tied up there by Slavin. Howden still with possession. Former captain of the Moose Jaw Warriors back to McNabb and across. Theodore missed.
Theodore says your sights. Lively here.
Here you see, Legacy is that predictable because Legacy always has AC in stock and will install it faster than a truck burning down a back road. Plus, no interest and no payments for 1 year. That's how you lasso your Legacy. Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Tee up at the 2026 Golfathon presented by Popeye Supplements June 19th at Rundle Park, supporting the University Hospital Foundation. Golf all day long for $250, including a cart and food. GoTrackSocialClub.com.
At Wendy's, get a 10-piece nugget small combo for just $8.99. That's right, $8.99 for 100% Canadian chicken, plus fries and a drink. That's just good nuggenomics. Only until June 14th. In restaurant at participating Wendy's locations. Taxes extra.
It's Canadian Tire's summer big red sale. Up to 50% off! Dude, I'm soaked. I mean, they told us to make a big splash, so I did.
Save up to 50% at Canadian Tire's summer big red sale, June 4th to 11th. Exclusions apply. Details online.
Everybody loves a beautiful day in Edmonton. Hey, it's Jamie, and Green Drop Lawn Care is giving you one more reason to love the nice weather. Next nice day service. People always ask,
how soon can Green Drop get here?
Well, when you sign up with Next Nice Day service, we'll be there by tomorrow. Assuming Mother Nature cooperates, we'll be fertilizing and treating your weeds by the very next day. We'll even include Drought Fighter at no additional cost. Just another reason we have been Canada's lawn expert since 1979. Easy online signups only at greendrop.com.
I was blown away. What?
The Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440. Can you fit Sports Encyclopedia on a business card?
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Buick. Family owned, community driven. We're making it easy. Visit wolfgmcbuick.com. All right. Lots going on there. As Declan told you, there is news today that the Edmonton Oilers are doing their due diligence about Mike Babcock, checking to see whether that's a process that they could undergo and interview Babcock as a candidate. Jumpin' Jack Flash says hiring Mike Babcock would be beyond brain dead, a total PR nightmare. Oiler fans will not buy it. Trust me, Jumpin' Jack Flash. Also, a couple of people have texted me and DM'd me asking about, they feel like Vegas leaked this. It is so simple for an Edmonton Oilers organization to send out a quick release saying, there is a report out there that we are talking to the NHLPA in terms of Mike Babcock. It's an erroneous report. We are not, in fact, endeavoring to do that. If that is the case, expect a very quick release from the Edmonton Oilers. It's an easy thing for them to do. Is it so out there that it's unbelievable? No. Are there major hurdles in terms of Babcock's reputation, the style of team that the Oilers were the last time you saw them, and what a Babcock Oilers team would look like? Hell yes. And that's worth talking about. And so we will. First splash, we've had a chance to look at it a little bit, gentlemen. How do you feel after taking 15 minutes and, in Josh's case, going and getting a glass of water?
Still the stupidest thing I've ever heard. We remember, what was 2 weeks ago, maybe, when the first idea of Babcock was floated out? Maybe it was 3 weeks ago. I don't know. All these weeks blend together. Yes. Declan was still here, so it must have been 3 weeks ago. It was like Bob had floated the idea out on a show.
He did. You're right.
And everybody went ape crap because it's the stupidest thing ever.
Do you think
everybody hates him?
Well, somebody, if the Oilers are doing their due diligence, somebody in the Edmonton Oilers organization doesn't, in fact, hate him.
I guess so.
This is an all-time bad move.
Yeah.
Like this is, first of all, let me ask you guys this first, because I think my answer is resounding.
I'm just happy it happened on this show.
Did Hyman play for Babcock?
In Toronto?
Yeah. Would their time have crossed over together?
Let me go do some research.
Do you guys think this
online?
Is a fit?
No, I don't. I don't think it's a fit at all.
So take out his personality. Do you think this is a fit hockey-wise?
No,
I say no.
He doesn't even coach. Like, he would button down everything. Like, McDavid would play like Jacques Lemaire. You know, no, it's not a good fit. Having said that, we have to take it seriously because the Oilers apparently are taking it seriously. So we have to report it and discuss it as real.
But let's break it. So it's not a good fit. This guy
yes, he did.
Pardon?
Mike Babcock was coach of the Leafs when Hyman was there.
Oh, there we go. There's your blocker for the Edmonton Oilers.
It's not a fit. He has a laundry list longer than any coach I can think of.
Well, everybody has laundry, though.
And but his list is pretty long. And he's got a style. He's got a coaching style that seems to me, and granted, me and Connor McDavid aren't best friends. Connor, if you're listening, let's hit the links, play 18. We're not exactly best friends, but I perceive this as being a coach who is not going to mesh well personality-wise with your star player who, oh, by the way, you're kind of desperate to keep because even though we don't like to talk about it, things don't necessarily look great with that contract extension.
Allow me this, though. They wouldn't go this far without McDavid being consulted. Is that fair?
I don't know. I don't know. I think Daryl Cates is in such a state of desperation that he feels I got to do whatever I can to win because I think winning keeps Connor here, which to be fair to him, it probably does. But I think
Absolutely
he may even overlook that when looking at a hire like this and just say, I have such tunnel vision for needing to win, and this is the guy I feel like can do it.
On the weekend, I wrote at The Athletic about the Oilers maybe changing gears. I wrote that Edmonton Oilers fans want aggression like Vegas. Remember when Marc-Andre Fleury was traded to Chicago? Was not a popular move. Everybody was mad about it. The goalie that they acquired to replace Fleury didn't work out, but they did win a Stanley Cup 2 years later. And they are the most aggressive team I've ever seen in the NHL in terms of procuring talent, and they will throw grandma overboard to get a guy that they want. And that is a fact. Now, the Edmonton Oilers are putting a little pressure on Darnell Nurse based on what we know, okay? There's that. They're being hyper-aggressive on getting a coach. We know that. Is this the Edmonton Oilers maybe being more aggressive than we've ever seen? And part of that is at least talking to Mike Babcock as an option. Even if, and I cannot believe they wouldn't consult McDavid and Draisaitl in the leadership group, but even if it comes to that.
If this is the second time we're talking about Babcock, in theory, this is like a second interview that Babcock has had. This would be the second time they've gone back to talking to Mike Babcock.
Well, and they clearly were impressed the first time.
Evidently, you don't really get a second interview unless you impress in the first one. But like the better this is a dumb idea. Hiring Babcock, I think, is the worst move. I would be more likely, if I were the Edmonton Oilers, to hire back Jay Woodcroft. And I think that's a dumb move as well. But that is closer to a style of play that the Edmonton Oilers can replicate and win with than whatever it is Mike Babcock can bring.
But, I understand how you feel. I get it. But if the report is true, then we have to treat it like real news. We can't just say it's dumb and then disregard it.
Well, I'm not disregarding it. I'm regarding it as dumb.
But we know, you mentioned it. It was on Bob's show. It was mentioned on other media that Mike Babcock was one of the names in play. David Carl was as well at the beginning. Then we found out that Carl was unlikely to leave the Denver Pioneers. So we have to treat it straight up. We can call it dumb and stupid and all of those things, but the Edmonton Oilers reportedly don't think it's stupid. They have a reason for doing it. And my question is, as a follow-up to that, unless they have absolutely decided to go a different direction, and by that, I mean not consulting the leadership group. So if McDavid doesn't know about this, it'll come as a big shock, and that might be a PR nightmare. If he does know about it, then the Edmonton Oilers are embarking on something that is completely different, in the words of the great philosophers Monty Python, And I'll be very interested in seeing how this turns out. I also am interested in how fans will react to it, because based on our text line, they're not
good.
happy. They're not happy about it.
Not good. And that's the same reaction that came out the first time. Was a majority of our listenership was not a fan.
Okay, let me do this. This is the thing that I can say to you that I think will change your mind about how this might go.
No, I understand where you're coming from.
But you're calling it a dumb idea, stupid idea, and I'm not saying it's the same thing was said before Stan Bowman was hired.
It's true. How has that worked out?
Stan Bowman may believe Mike Babcock is the key. This story, if it's not real, the Oilers will tell us, and then by the time Jason Gregor's half hour into his show, they'll send out something. Bob will send out something, or somebody will send something saying this isn't real. And if by tomorrow at this time, tomorrow at noon, they haven't pushed back heartily on this, then we'll know that they are.
That it's real. Yep. I
just think that I've always hoped that the Edmonton Oilers would embrace a lot of things when Connor McDavid arrived. Within an hour of him being drafted, they made a major trade, sending away 2 valuable picks for Griffin Reinhart. And since then, whenever they are seen to be going in certain directions, there's this something that occurs that is massive. Remember last spring, when they brought in Paul Coffey, and I said Paul Coffey had to come in because the defense was just atrocious. Those forward passes, those stretch passes were hurtful, and he really did help. But you have to know that that's probably the owner putting his thumb on the scale. And for me, the idea that when you can't have Cassidy, so you go to Babcock, maybe that's Stan Bowman's idea, but I just feel like this team is there's a phrase called "start as you mean to go," and I don't know that the Oilers do the due diligence. We have no reports of the interviewing a bunch of coaches, and now they're reportedly going after a guy that nobody would touch. It just feels like we're in Groundhog Day, and the LA Kings got their guy today. Toronto's going to get their guy, and the Oilers are off-roading it at this point. I think that's fair.
Here's from the YouTube chat, our Wednesday contributor, Kevin McCurdy. Guys, seriously, Cates is a world-class moron if he lets this happen. Doubles back. It's a player nightmare. Player in all caps.
Well, I don't. Years and years ago, somebody said, "What about Babcock to coach McDavid?" I said, "It'll never work, because unless Connor McDavid says, okay, I'm willing to play the Mike Babcock way." And by the way, he'd be brilliant at it, but he wouldn't score 100 points. Unless he's buying in on this, and even then, I just think this is a rickety road, man. This is like climbing up to the press box in the old Northlands. You just got to think about it before you do it. Pretty wild. I'll be really interested in hearing what Gregor says. For my own opinion, this is my opinion, just to get it on the record. I think that Mike Babcock was a very successful coach with specific teams. There's no Nick Lindstrom here. There's no Fedorov here. There's no Datsuk here. The Edmonton Oilers aren't built that way. They're not. So if Babcock comes in, then Leon Draisaitl, who can do it, is going to have to change his style.
35th in Selke voting this year, Leon Draisaitl?
Oh, no. If Draisaitl was an own zone face-off guy with 2 checking wingers, you would be astounded by what he could do.
It basically has that right now.
He can bully anybody. And he could be an absolute... If he did own zone face-offs and was a designated line against the other team's best, he could win another heart. That's how good he would be. And McDavid, there are things that he could do that would be more responsible. But I just don't see this team doing it. They haven't done it for over a decade. I would need Connor McDavid to endorse that hire for me to believe it.
It seems like square peg round hole, because you're right. The Oilers are built one way, and then you're bringing in a coach to coach for an entirely different way than they're built.
And they don't have a goalie, and they don't have Nick Lidstrom.
Yep. And then on top of it, again, granted, Zach Hyman is not as soft as Mitch Marner. IMO. From everything we understand,
not soft at all.
From everything we understand in the press and everything, Hyman, stand-up guy, doesn't really holds himself accountable first. and doesn't get into dirty little details or anything, or if we win, I'll let you in on the dark times or whatever. But if you're Connor McDavid, who's got to give the golden thumb of approval or whatever before they move on, in theory, I don't think there's a world where he doesn't go to Zach Hyman and say, what do you think?
I agree with that. Now, this is the Stanley Cup team, 07-08. Jay Woodcroft was an assistant coach, as was Todd McClellan. Actually, Woodcroft was the video coach. Head coach Mike Babcock. They won 54 games. Pavel Datsyuk was their top center, scorer-wise. Henrik Zetterberg was on that team. Nick Lidstrom was 37, but he was still posting 70 points. They had Rafalski. They had a deep team. Holmstrom. They had a deep team. They were physical. They were strong. They were really responsible defensively. And they had Osgood, Howard, and Dominic Hasek in goal. So that doesn't. Is that the model for the Oilers? I think not. Not right now.
Dominic Hasek in goal? Good question.
Hey, I wouldn't mind it. We're getting a lot. There's a lot. See,
Hasek is just so you know, he's 61 years old. So I don't think he can play anymore.
Is he better than Tristan Jarry? Price comparison. We're getting some decent. We're getting some decent, a little bit of pushback here on Mike Babcock being a good hire for the reason that he's a good coach. And, my kind of thing is like, it was 20 years ago he won a Stanley Cup, and the playoff success hasn't exactly been great in about 15 years. Like, even if you want to ignore his laundry list because you believe that this is a coach who can win with the team, you believe that winning is what needs to be at the forefront of this team's mind, rightfully so. It's pro sports. Are we sure he's still that good of a coach who can lead you to the promised land like that? Are we sure? Because if you're sure, you ignore everything. But are you sure?
But at some level, all that matters is the owner. And if he believes it, then it shall be. And Cates must be looking at it like this. I got 1 or 2 years left. I can't get my guy Cassidy, who's the best coach out there, no holds barred. Like, I don't care if he's in Russia right now. Who is it? And he's decided on Babcock. That's the only conclusion I can make, is they had a list. The list is empty now. And now they're on to another list that is basically guys who are out of the game. It's like bringing in Hasek to play goal, except it's the coach. I'm so interested in knowing Connor McDavid's reaction to this, and Leon Draisaitl's reaction to this. Not that they run the team, and not that they couldn't play a more disciplined game. They could, but you're like, this is like, this is it. When it was mentioned on media in this city, the reaction was so quick, and most people disregarded it. And yet, you could say the same thing about Stan Bowman when his name was first mentioned. One thing about the Edmonton Oilers is, I don't remember the last time they were boring.
I don't know, like crazy? 10 years ago.
Had before they won McDavid.
Before they won the draft, everything before it.
Well, Leon was pretty interesting.
All right, so 11 years ago.
Declan?
No, just not to be like a complete contrarian, and this is kind of an aside that doesn't actually really matter in the grand scheme of this conversation. I thought they had some boring moments this year where they were a little down to watch.
Well,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, all right.
I always,
but we found a way to keep it interesting.
I always try to keep track of old-timey sayings that are used on my blog, and I never remember who came up with it first, and I do apologize. But there's a Russian saying that goes, "We hope for the best, and it turned out the same." And if you're an Edmonton Oilers fan right now, Mike Babcock as a coach, he's won Stanley. The way he won Stanley and the style of his team that won Stanley, I'll be honest, I don't think you can get there from here if you're the Edmonton Oilers. We'll see. It's just a rumor now. They may not have even talked to him, but it's out there now, and it was mentioned by the rights holder media not that long ago. So don't reject it out of place, because we'll find out from the Edmonton Oilers. If it's not true, it'll be denied quickly. And by that, I mean soon, as in sometime during Gregor's show. Speaking of, Jason Gregor on the way to tell us what he thinks and preview. I imagine this will be on the show. Maybe Rod Peterson would be around. We'll find out. All right, Jason Krueger straight ahead. Then we have Declination's Mama MMA. Lowdown with Lowetide, brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick on Sports 1440 and YouTube.
You don't just need property services, you need problems handled. HireGood provides cleanup, debris removal, site monitoring, and safety attendance across Edmonton. We reduce issues on your property, keep spaces safe, and take pressure off your team. We resolve real problems for businesses while creating real impact, because our team is built on second chances, and they show up every day ready to prove it. Visit hiregood.ca or call and mention Jason Krueger for a first-time discount. HireGood. Stable jobs create stable lives.
Say hello to your new favorite drinks. Introducing new McCafe Refreshers. Icy cool, undeniably refreshing, and available in 3 flavors: strawberry watermelon, mango pineapple, and blackberry passion fruit. Only at McDonald's.
Alberta is growing, but our highways are crumbling. Are you tired of the rough ride? In the last 15 years, our population has grown with hundreds of thousands more cars and trucks on our highways. Today, more than 15% of Alberta's highways are in poor condition. Cutting highway maintenance doesn't save money. It makes repairs more expensive. Don't let the government ignore the problem. Your MLA works for you. Tell them to fix our roads. Visit fixourroads.com for more information.
A message from the Alberta Road Builders and Heavy Construction Association.
It's Canadian Tire's summer big red sale. Up to 50% off. Dude, I'm soaked. I mean, they told us to make a big splash, so I did.
Save up to 50% at Canadian Tire's summer big red sale, June 4th to 11th. Exclusions apply. Details online.
With Play Alberta, backing the home team goes beyond the bets. That's because your picks have provincial impact. Play Alberta is the only app in the province that puts all revenue directly back into supporting programs and services that Albertans rely on every day. By investing in the General Revenue Fund, every play, bet, and buy made on Play Alberta helps make a difference across the province. Visit playalberta.ca/Gregor to learn more. That's playalberta.ca/Gregor. Must be 18 plus to play. If you gamble, use your game sense.
Hey, hon, I'm getting expressions and images to frame my hockey card collection in the man cave.
Perfect. I'll come with you and bring our wedding photos.
For sports memorabilia and family treasures, think Expressions and Images, your local custom framer since 91. You name it, we frame it.
Cougar Creek Golf Resort is now open and in great condition. Experience our championship-length golf course, surrounded by trees and rolling terrain, and only minutes from Edmonton. Book a tee time today. Go to cougarcreekgolf.com and click on golf.
Attention Alberta construction pros. For over 50 years, Jaffa Equipment Rentals has been your go-to for top-notch equipment and stellar service. Whether you need rentals or expert maintenance, we've got you covered. Stop by our Edmonton or Calgary locations today.
It doesn't start on game day. It starts before kickoff, before the first snap. It starts with you locking in your season seats. This is Edmonton Elks football. The only way to experience it is being there for every hit, catch, and touchdown. The Elks home opener kicks off June 20th against Montreal. Your season seats are your way in. Get yours now at goelks.com/season seats. Edmonton Elks. Our city, our year.
You need the lowdown? It's with Lowetide right now on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
Come on now. It's the lowdown on Sports 1440 for Wolf GMC Buick. Check them out, wolfgmcbuick.com. What a day. 124. It is time for our headliner of the day, Jason Krueger. Brought to you by Faber. Debt holding you back? Let Faber's licensed insolvency trustees help you tackle your debt. Book your free consultation at faber.ca or call 1-877-844-1177. That's 877-844-1177. All right. Joined now by our friend Jason Krueger. How was your weekend, sir?
It was great out. It's very relaxing.
Did you enjoy the sunshine? Did you go for long walks? Play any baseball?
Played golf actually with the family, which was outstanding, and went for a good bike ride. Yeah, was outside quite a bit and watched a little bit of sports. So good weekend.
So lots to talk about. I know you are connected, so you'll know about the reporting about Mike Babcock via Darren Dreger and others about the Edmonton Oilers and their interest in at least pursuing the idea, consulting with the NHLPA about potentially hiring Mike Babcock.
I'll be frank, what a waste of time. Like, honestly, you look at, why don't you go ask Mike Modano, Johan France, and Mitch Marner, the Columbus Blue Jacket players, what they think about it. Then you could just take a few seconds and look and say, oh, let's find out the last time he won a playoff round. Oh, geez, we've got to go back to 2014, 12 years ago. And that's the guy, that's the only coach that you can consider. Like, give me a break. You could not be more tone deaf as an organization if that's the route they're going to take.
And I always feel like the Oilers are, starting as they mean to go, and there's a process, and we heard some names that they were talking about. Cassidy was one of them. And this, I just feel like this comes out of left field, and it was mentioned a few weeks ago as a possibility, but the reaction was very strong, and now we're back to it. It could be nothing, but I feel like the Edmonton Oilers are kind of wasting time today. The LA Kings got their coach. And they may not get Cassidy, and so it feels like they're doing their due diligence, but maybe in the wrong aisle.
Yeah, like I said, to me, this is just a waste of time. They interviewed Laviolette, and they interviewed Craig Berube, and I don't know if it was Laviolette choosing LA or what it was. Edmonton wasn't ready to commit. I can't get an accurate answer on that, but either way, I know that they were interested in him, and those ones make sense. But I would also, the one thing that I guess a little concerning to me is I haven't heard one young name of a coach out there, and the suggestion that you can, I do think experience matters to a point, but you could be a young coach and still be demanding, right? You don't have to have a complete, a-hole reputation to be a successful coach who can demand credibility from his players. Right? You don't have to have that at all. So, there's lots of different coaches that will that have a resume that suggests you can be hard on your players and you can be demanding without being a jerk. And the whole Babcock thing, I wrote an article about it a few weeks ago and, relived all of the faux pas. And that's the thing. Here's a person who has shown a pattern and it hasn't changed, whether it was in Detroit, whether it was in Toronto, whether it was in Columbus, it hasn't changed. So you'd be naive to think that magically now it's going to change. Like, honestly, if you hire Babcock, why not just trade Connor McDavid this summer and get as much as you can for him? Because to me, that's the desperation that you're doing as an organization to hire Babcock.
And this is an owner who, over the years, they've hired lots of coaches. Pat Quinn, one of them, and Quinn coached them in 09-10, and he had, big reputation. I think most of us can agree that the game had, somewhat passed him by a little bit, to be kind, and it was a one and done, for him here, and they moved on to Rennie. But I feel like this is a coaching hire that doesn't have a lot of positives, and coming back to the roster, it's not really built like a Babcock team. Like, they're not defensive. They're not going to win a 2-1 game, never. And I find it frustrating from somebody who covers the Oilers and talks about them that there seems as though there's a process that begins and then it gets derailed, and they're wasting precious time. Where they could be, talking to, I don't know how many coaches they've talked to, but, Toronto's going to have somebody now. LA has someone now. They're going to go to the draft with Babcock or nobody based on the rumors we hear. And that's just unfortunate, I think. I think this team deserves better from whoever's making the decision, and we will have to hold Stan Bowman accountable because he's the general manager.
Yeah, well, I should say one thing. I don't think that they're only talking to Babcock, and that means they can't talk to anybody else. You can do multiple things. You should be, as a GM, you should be able to talk to Kapanen's agent, Connor Murphy's agent, and by the way, we'll interview the coach at some point. You can do all these multi things at different times. So I don't think that just because if they're looking at Babcock, it means they're doing nothing else. I'm not going to go that far. I just think it's a waste of time. however much hours that is, I don't think it's going to be a massive amount. I think it'd be a waste of time. But as far as the team playing defensively, they played pretty good defensively under Chris Knobloch. I think people forget that. They went to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, and were very good, and 2 years in a row. So I think the team, if they want, from any coach, but it's not like Babcock's the only coach in the history of the world that can get teams to play defensive. Like, give me a break. Playing defensive is really a commitment from your players at the end of the day. The systems are the systems. There's not a massive array of way different systems that all of a sudden Coach A in this team does something. Everyone's like, oh my God, no one's ever played that system before. How can we do it? Like, it's not how it works. So I don't think Babcock's system per se would be any better or worse than anyone else, because there's really not. It's more so, how do you communicate it? How do you get your players to want to believe in it? That's really the art of coaching, because guys at the NHL level, they've all got enough understanding of how the game is played. It's just a matter of how can they communicate. And then obviously you need good players. You can be the best coach in the world. If you don't have good players, I don't care what your system is, they're not going to be able to play it or at least execute it often enough. So I think Edmonton has enough good players. They can always use more. But to me, it's about communication, and it's about an organization that just you reek of desperation.
Yeah.
If Mike Babcock is the coach you hire, there is to try to counter that. I would love to hear someone defend Mike Babcock. Well, he won a Stanley Cup. Who cares? That was 2008. What have you done since then? What have you done since then?
Well, if you can bring a mid-30s Nick Lidstrom with him, that might help, but nothing else really. Let me ask you about as we head towards the end of the Stanley Cup Final, which we'll talk about in a second, and then the draft and then free agency. Do you get a feeling that we might be going right to free agency before we know the name of the next coach?
Yeah, it's very possible. As I said before, it would be nice to have the coach for the draft, not so much for the draft, but more so for day two and some trades to see, what interest is. But at the end of the day, your managers and scouts, if you feel the players are good enough, then get your coach good players, then he should be able to coach them. So like I said before, I don't think it's a must-have to have the coach in place by then. It's better off to get the right coach.
Do you, Dylan Larkin has asked for a trade and reportedly mentioned three teams that may expand: Minnesota, Florida, and Vegas. Do you feel this is like a one-off from a veteran who's been through the wars for a long time and is looking for an opportunity? I'll say a la Rick Nash, who did something similar with Columbus many years ago. Is that how you look at it, or do you think we may see more of these trade requests from respected veterans in organizations?
Well, it's definitely not a one-off. Just go back to Matthew Tkachuk, to Quinn Hughes, to Dylan Larkin. It happens fairly frequently that players, for different reasons and different situations, end up getting moved. Some of them, like I kind of chuckle Larkin, I'm going to have three teams. Minnesota doesn't have any assets to give up for them. Florida does have a lot, but most of them are older. So, maybe you'd give up Lundell, maybe, but, that's also in your division. And then you throw in, Vegas. Well, where does he fit in on Vegas? Honestly. So that's great that he does it. But as I've said this before, he's got 5 years left on his contract. Steve Yzerman can say, hey, I get that you want to get traded. I'm not trading you to make you happy and make our organization worse. It's not how it's going to work. So when you're ready, if you want to give me more options, great. Otherwise, I'll see you in camp. Click. There's nothing else to say. It's that simple. There's nothing else to say. Now, those GMs, maybe they'll reach out and he can weigh the options. But unless he gets a very good, fair trade, he's in no pressure or no risk to have to make the trade. This is not like Mitch Marner, who was 2 weeks away from free agency last year when the deal came down with Vegas. This is a guy who has 5 years left on his contract. And it's a good contract. So there's zero reason to rush if you're Steve Yzerman.
I'm loving the Stanley Cup Final. The forechecking, the great pace, the wonderful passing, and they've been close games. So, what's your take on the series so far, and are you enjoying it?
Well, how can you not enjoy it? It's completely unpredictable. No lead is safe. They scored 25 goals so far in 3 games. That's the most goals to the first 3 games of the Stanley Cup since 1981. Even the vaunted Oilers weren't involved in playoff games that high scoring. So it's been great to see. And I hope it continues. The uncertainty is fun. Maybe it's not fun for those two fan bases. I'm sure Vegas fans weren't loving the third period, whereas Carolina fans hated the second and loved the third and probably liked the first overtime and then just didn't like the ending. So I think it's been a fantastic series. There's not much to complain about at all for me. And I look to see what happens in game 4. Like, we're all waiting for it to be a defensive game. Maybe it's just not going to happen. Maybe these teams are just going to go back and forth, and I'm all for it.
Yeah, I'm so impressed with both teams. They're playing at a high level. The passes from the fourth liners are crisp. There's lots of hitting. There's a little edge to it, but they're playing a game where you can't give it too much energy to one shift because you got another one coming up. I really feel like this is shaping up to be one of the better Stanley Cup finals that we've seen. Switching over to the NBA, wild time for the New York Knicks fans, and in New York tonight, everybody's talking about game number 3 of this NBA final. New York being in it is part of it, but this is just a fun team to watch and an up-and-coming team against them. A huge, huge game tonight in New York.
Well, they dominated. Well, I shouldn't say dominated because they only won by 1, but hey, they played really well. They're up 2-0. No team in NBA history has lost the first 2 games at home in the final and come back to win. So odds are going well, but odds are always there somebody's always has to be the first. So maybe the Spurs will be the first team to come back from an 0-2 deficit on home floor and win. It is a big game for sure for the Knicks. The crowd's going to be going crazy, although it's a little bit more expensive seats than normal. I think it came down to about $6,000 was the cheapest seat to get into to the building. So it'll be fun. And can they control Karl Anthony Towns? Really, at the end of the day, I think he has done a lot for the Knicks so far. Obviously, Jalen Brunson was great in game 1, but the Knicks defense has been the reason they're up 2-0 in the series. And OG Anunoby, don't overlook how important he is to that team.
A couple of notes here right at the end before we tee up what you got coming up on the show. You talked at length last week about the Elks needing to win game 1 and really, turn back the tide because they've been so poor, like in the first half of seasons. They needed to get out early and win one. Justin Rankin explodes 100 yards receiving and almost that, 100 yards rushing, almost that in receiving. What a night for the Elks and what a great start to the year, Jason.
Well, it's a massive win for them. And that's a game, like, it really should have blew them out. Like, you look at a few dropped interceptions from the DBs. The offense, I thought the only thing I really had a criticism was the play calling in the second half. Way too passive. Like, I'm sorry. I know that your quarterback's limited in certain things that he does, but you can still be a little bit more aggressive. The other negative, of course, was the injury to Woodman. Yeah. He's going to be put on the 6th game, officially. Probably not until next week. There's no rush to do it, but because they don't play until then. So, that's unfortunate for him, no question. Doesn't sound like it's going to be season ending, but he'll be out a while, and we'll find out if there's any other ins. But that's the big one. I would think they would change the ratio, Al, and bring in the American to play right guard, Cameron. So I just think that would make sense because you've got Smith. And you've got 3 starting Canadians easily on one D-line, 1 linebacker, 1 DB. So that's pretty simple, as well as your other 2 offensive linemen, a receiver, and a kicker. So they're fine there because they got a lot of good Canadians. And Herbie built the team, so he'd have some flexibility for situations like this. So that'll be good. But it was a huge game, man. And Justin Rankin, oh my goodness, to go 1,000 doesn't seem unrealistic. Like, he's not going to get 200 yards every game. I understand it, but after that good start for him, he needs to average like 52.2 yards per game rushing and 53.3 yards per game receiving to get to 1,000 and 1,000. Never been done before in the CFL, but that's something I'm going to be monitoring every week when they play because that's a great thing to follow. And he was the really reason. Like, he was like, look at those plays, Al. Both of them just came down to unreal efforts by him. Yeah. So to me, I love the defensive game. There are some areas of concern offensively that they need to work on. I think it's a work in progress, but they needed a win. And who cares? They could have won by 1. They would have won by 51. They get a win. And to me, that's huge for that organization. And now you go into the bye week. I think people will get excited coming up to take on Jason Moss and the Alouettes here next Saturday, not like this Saturday, but to come in the Saturday, the 20th. And that's just huge for a team to have some good vibes around an organization that hasn't had good vibes early in the season forever.
And the O-line looked good. Like, there was a lot of, they didn't get into they punched a lot of field goals in, but I thought that the trenches were pretty solid for them.
Yeah, like Montreal late in the game started to blitz way more, and I think that combined with Woodman's absence was probably a little bit why Fajardo was under pressure. But I also think that, they became too predictable in what they were doing offensively. We saw that last year. So to me, that's the one thing I need to see a little bit more. It's almost like this, because a lot of the offensive guys were together in BC and the coaches, they come here and it's like they're a schematic group. They're like, okay, here's the play and either works or it doesn't work. And they don't look at everything else. And I think that's a mindset that might have to change in the whole offensive coaching staff.
Final one, McDavid, 5th Ted Lindsay Award. I mean, this is an amazing player, and it's nice to see him rewarded with hardware. I know what hardware he wants, but number 5 for Lindsay, that's impressive.
Oh, it's very impressive. I always chuckle to people and say, oh, the only one that matters is this. Well, first of all, you can't win a Stanley Cup in the regular season. So you're comparing things that are irrelevant to compare to. He could still win this or not win it and still win a Stanley Cup. They're not connected. They're not correlated. They're voted on before the playoffs even begin. It's like people can't understand a simple concept. It's wild to me. But yeah, to tie Gretzky with 5, which kind of illustrates, like I always chuckle when people say, oh, the players always get it right. I'm like, so you're telling me Gretzky was only the best player in the NHL 5 times? Like, really? You tell me that in his career? Like, come on. So I look at McDavid, and he has a very good chance to set a new mark with his 6th or 7th down the road for the Edmonton Oilers. If it's with the Edmonton Oilers or someone else, but either way, I fully expect that eventually he'll be the guy with the most Ted Lindsay Awards in NHL history.
All right, what's coming up on the show today?
Well, we're going to talk some great golf. Fajardo's going to join us. Kevin Woodley about goaltending. Would you go with Bussy? I would, but we'll find out from Kev what the numbers say there. Also, we are going to talk to Kevin specifically about Oiler goalie options in the offseason. And we'll break down a few guys, including Connor Ingram. You look at the free agent market. Are there guys that would be a good fit? Because Woodley likes to dig into it. He's a big believer in, a style that you play as a team and your goalie needs to match. So, and he's got all the numbers, so we'll look into that. And we'll set up a little NBA. And we'll also, of course, talk about the Stanley Cup final and just how exciting it is.
All right. Thanks, Jason. Appreciate it, man.
Have a good one out.
There you go. Jason Krueger, live on the radio at 2 o'clock today. Coming up, it's Declinations 142. We're a little late for the break. We'll take it now. Lowdown with Lowetide, brought to you by Wolf GMC Buick.
Say hello to your new favorite drinks. Introducing new McCafe Refreshers. Icy cool, undeniably refreshing, and available in 3 flavors. Strawberry watermelon, mango pineapple, and blackberry passion fruit. Only at McDonald's.
Hi, Mike here from Northgate Chevrolet Buick GMC. This deal's only good till 6 o'clock tonight. We need your credit card to hold the color. Hold the color. Summer package. Winter package. And the ever-famous re-PDI fee. I gotta pay you to rebuild the car? Does this sound familiar? At Northgate, we do things differently. We offer 0% financing, a great selection of new, pre-owned vehicles. So if you'd like to do business a different way, stop in and see us today. 13215 97th Street, or visit us online at northgategm.com.
You're in Northgate country.
I'm good to go. Good to go.
With Mortgages to Go, you'll be good to go. Mortgagestogo.ca says yes when the banks say no. That's why Alberta has trusted Mortgages to Go for over 23 years. If you need cash and have equity in your home, you're approved instantly, guaranteed. Call 1-888-888-5998. That's 1-888-888-5998. With Mortgages to Go, you'll say,
I'm good to go.
You probably know Stingray for radio advertising.
What about digital advertising?
Yeah, we do that.
Connected TV?
We do that.
Search and social?
And that.
Programmatic? Digital out of home?
We do it all. Endless digital platforms to connect your business to more customers, to intrigue them, engage them, so they choose your product or service. Get started now at stingraymediasolutions.com and let us help your business grow. We are Stingray. That's what we do.
Summit Restaurant, located in the heart of the Silent Ice Center and just minutes from South Edmonton Common. Summit is your destination for exceptional house-made pizza, delicious entrees, and expertly crafted cocktails. Cheers. Experience the perfect blend of flavor and ambiance in a modern setting. Join us for a straightforward yet elevated dining experience where our commitment to quality speaks to every bite and sip. Make Summit Restaurant your next night on the town.
Our new McCafe crafted sodas just drinks or something more. Like Sprite Berry Bliss, Creamy Strawberry Coke, and Orange Dream. All swirled with fizzy flavor and topped with silky cold foam. Only at McDonald's. At participating McDonald's restaurants in Canada.
It's like a locker room minus the smell.
Ew.
Kevin Carius brings the banter, the buzz, and the bold sports talk. Weekday mornings from 7 to 11 on Sports 1440, Edmonton's home for sports.
Everybody loves a beautiful day in Edmonton. Hey, it's Jamie, and Green Drop Lawn Care is giving you one more reason to love the nice weather. Next Nice Day service. People always ask, how soon can Green Drop get here? Well, when you sign up with Next Nice Day service, we'll be there by tomorrow. Assuming Mother Nature cooperates, we'll be fertilizing and treating your weeds by the very next day. We'll even include Drought Fighter at no additional cost. Just another reason we have been Canada's lawn expert since 1979. Easy online signups only at greendrop.com.
Here's the Lowdown with Lowetide on Sports 1440.
Presented by Wolf GMC Buick. We're making it easy. WolfGMCBuick.com.
It's the Lowdown on Sports 1440 for Wolf GMC Buick. Check them out, wolfgmcbuick.com. It's time for Declinations, brought to you by the Edmonton Elks. The Edmonton Elks home opener, June 20th. It's going to be big. Lock in your tickets at goelks.com/tickets right now. All right, Declan.
All right. Yeah, a little UFC 250, UFC Freedom 250. How about that for a name, by the way,
There
gentlemen?
you go.
That's, we'll talk about this quickly, then finish up with a little bit more Babs. I kind of want to get your guys' take on this because I feel like I've talked about this at different stages.
You've
while
been
we've
in Italy for 3 weeks.
Yeah, but before that, we've known
okay.
about this for a long time. But yes, for anyone who doesn't know, the UFC is putting on a UFC card on the White House front lawn this Saturday. It's a little bit earlier than July 4th, obviously, but it's in celebration of America's 250th birthday.
They got a lot of porta potties.
It's a 7-fight card that's going to take place on the White House front lawn, and most fighters are very right wing, so they're very pro. Like, I want to be in this card, go America, which it makes sense. I can understand that. But some have kind of come out and been like, I don't want to show up and be a fighter on this private card for the elites on the White House's front lawn. So I'm just curious where you guys come out on the fact the UFC is holding this event before I actually talk about some of the matchups.
Is it in keeping with the UFC and what they represent?
I would say it is.
Okay, then I have no quarrel with it. You are who you say you are, and if that is something that they endorse and their fans endorse and have no problem with, then I you fill your hat.
You don't have some weird like Squid Game Rothschild party kind of vibes to this?
We've been talking about the potential hiring of Mike Babcock for the last 44 minutes, and I called it stupid. This is dumber than that.
Okay.
What a waste of American taxpayer dollars.
Are
to build this
people going to watch it and enjoy it? Is it entertainment?
It is entertainment.
Right. Are any laws being broken?
Well, it's funny. There was actually a lawsuit filed by an anti-corruption organization that claimed that they wanted to block it from occurring, saying it was deeply corrupt, private for-profit sports event. I don't know how that differs from like a football game per se, but there are some legality things surrounding it.
Okay. Well, that aside, it's like Twang Tuesday. I can't find anybody who loves that except me on this show, and I don't care. Twang Tuesday will go tomorrow.
Shout out, unless I forget.
Yeah.
Anyway,
me too.
listen, this is another thing. I want to talk about this quickly because I do want to finish with Babs as the lead in the Greg show, and I wasted a lot of time.
Yeah.
Anyway, the main event.
You got in late though.
The main event is the lightweight championship between Ilia Topuria and Justin Gaethje. Justin Gaethje is the interim champion. He is American. Ilia Topuria is the undisputed champion, or I guess it is disputed now, but he is a Georgian Spaniard. And the thing about this event is like you have America's 250 birthday, White House lawn, rah, rah, rah. I think you are going to see an American get just violated in the main event. Like Justin Gaethje, he was actually a college wrestler, but he's a stand-up fighter through and through. And this is the guy who bites down on his mouthpiece. He swings from the fences. Sometimes when you watch this guy, he has no form at all, but you're like, whoa, he's sure swinging for the bleachers. Ilia Topuria is a pinpoint accurate striker. And I just cannot think of a worse optics for the UFC than their interim champ from American, Justin Gaethje, going out there and just getting butchered by this guy, Ilia Topuria, which I fully expect to happen. Like, the skill gap between these two in terms of precision and technique striking is so vast. So it's a little curious for me that the UFC would make this the main event. Like, you would think they want to have an American on there who's going to go out there and win. And I think this guy is absolutely going to get slaughtered by Ilia Topuria.
So it's like the olden days when they used to have Friday night fights on HBO, and then the guy in the ring wouldn't realize his opponent is left-handed until 34 seconds into the first round.
Yeah, it's always a tough one. No, I like Justin Gaethje. He's a two-time interim champion. He's fought for the undisputed belt a good couple of times. Like, he is a very good fighter, but I just think what he does well in the game he likes to plays so unbelievably well into Ilia Topuria's skill set that I don't see it going well for him. But the co-main event, heavyweight interim championship between Alex Pereira and Cyril Gane. Alex Pereira doing attempting to do something that has never been done in UFC history. He is aiming to become a 3-division world champion. He has been the middleweight champion. He has been the light heavyweight world champion. Dana White himself, who is a promoter, so take it with a grain of salt, he has come out and said if he beats Cyril Gane to become the interim heavyweight champion and become a 3-way world champion, never been done before, he will surpass John Jones as the greatest UFC fighter of all time.
Wow.
So that's kind of what's at stake here. And I'm
3 different. That's amazing.
Dana White loves John Jones.
And he does love John Jones. And the jump from middleweight to light heavyweight is 20 pounds, which is pretty crazy. And then obviously, I mean, the jump from light heavyweight to heavyweight, it's a little bit different because it's technically 206 plus with a 265 limit. But obviously you get guys up there who are 260, 250, and Cyril Gane is a big, big boy. So it's quite an accomplishment if Alex Pereira can pull it off.
That is an amazing story. It really is. All right. Are you finis there, young man?
Yeah, let's finish with a little bout.
All right. So we'll tee up Gregor's show. He's coming up. Lots to talk about. I love the conversation about ideal fits for Edmonton Oilers in net. That's something that you'll want to listen for. It's a great feature anyway. And then, of course, the reports that and it's around enough news reporting now that I think we can say that the Edmonton Oilers appear to be doing their due diligence on Mike Babcock as a possible coach. It was mentioned. I did not hear it from Bob, but there were people who told me that it was mentioned a few weeks ago as a possibility. So it's now being reported by a TSN as being something that is, happening. So that is something to look at. Initial reaction, we've gone around the table here. It's not a fit. Babcock as a coach, when he was at the top of his game, was a button-down defensive coach looking at, getting Nick Lidstrom and that group to win 2-1 or 3-2 at the worst. It was more defensive-oriented, and I know the world has changed, but Mike Babcock hasn't been a coach of a team for some time successfully. So there's a long way to go from where we are now to Babcock being a successful coach in Edmonton. You gentlemen want to add anything to that before we head out of here?
No, I think we've covered it. I don't want to speak for Declan, but for me, I
love it.
I don't like it. I love it.
Give him a multi-year contract, man. This is awesome.
I have a hard time marrying this solution to the Oilers' problem. That's the gist of it for me. I don't like. I could buy into Cassidy as a coach totally for this team. For me, that made sense, and I think the Laviolette, who's in LA now with the Kings, he would have been an option. I've mentioned Jay Woodcroft before. There are others that they've interviewed, and maybe they'll hire one of those guys. This, to me, just seems like an outlier and a Hail Mary. And I'll be delighted to be proven wrong. And, they celebrate winning the Stanley Cup with Mike Babcock as coach next summer, but I don't see it. And I think that the organization is not built in a defensive way, and they haven't been drafted in a defensive way. It would take years to get a Mike Babcock style team. And that means adjustment. And I just don't think there's time. One summer isn't going to be enough time. The button-down nature of Babcock style, where you're defense first and you're cheating not for offense but for defense. I mean, the last young winger they had who did that was Magnus Pajärvi in this town. A long time ago. So, we'll look forward to Jason's. He shared a little bit of his opinion. He'll have more coming up at 2 o'clock on the Jason Gregor Show. We'll be back tomorrow with more on this developing situation involving the Edmonton Oilers. It's never boring around the Oilers. Thanks so much for tuning into the Lowdown. Please enjoy your afternoon.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
Brought to you by Sean Cunningham of Remax Real Estate. Get the home team advantage for next move to the Edmonton area. If you're thinking about buying or selling a home, call or text Sean directly at 780-265-0165. News coming down from Darren Drager. According to sources, the Edmonton Oilers are consulting with the NHLPA to see if there are any objections that must be resolved before potentially hiring Mike Babcock. News from Jason Gregor as offensive lineman for the Edmonton Elks, Colton Woodmansey, is set to go on the 6-game IL. And other news from around the sporting world, the Hurricanes will go with Bussy in net for Game 4, and the LA Kings have hired Peter Laviolette as their next coach. NBA action today, we'll see San Antonio and New York at 6:30. The MLB will get going at 4:35 with the Mariners and Orioles, and the Jays will be in action at 5:07 playing host to the Phillies. Corbin on the mound in that one, and you can listen on Sports 1440 AM dial only. I'm Declan Krueger. This has been Sports